anything from the last couple of weeks here?
I do. So I just gave my kind of a Sunday night. We had a 2020 recap and kind of not vision, because we're not setting per se goals anymore. Because one thing we realized was like Proverbs 16:9, we can set our ways, but God directs our steps and so forth. But we're reviewing back, and we haven't quite reached 1,000 people we've been in contact with, but we're at like 780 people that we prayed with and talked with. And I know had COVID not been an issue, I guess I can't say I know, but I feel there'd be a lot more visitors through our door because we're in such a blue mindset of a state and local government. There's blue, and then there's like far left blue, and that's where we're at right now. I mean, they're just, if someone hiccups and they have it, we got to shut the whole place down again, it feels like. But it was just really cool to see that we're at the 780. We haven't quite reached that 1,000 goal, people for us to pray for, but that's 1,000 people. And it was funny. I don't know what happened right around the new year, but in the first couple of weeks, last couple of days, I've been hit with the Christian crazies. And if you know what Christian crazies are, I mean, they're just out there. Like they'll get started and then they start the quiz and they don't finish it. So you reach out to them and then they respond with like, I don't know who you are. I have a church. Please don't ever message me again. I'm like, you messaged me. And there was one last night. She's like, pray for me, pray for my family, pray for this. So I messaged her, do the recording. She's like, I don't have any money. I don't know who you are. I don't like you. You're full of bull. And I'm like, so I don't know what was going on, but I channeled my inner Caleb rage and I just threw it right back at her. And I was like, I don't know why you think this. I've listened to the prayer. I didn't ask for money. You asked for prayer and I prayed for you. What is your problem? And she actually apologized and we chatted a little bit more after that. But I was just like,
is this a different Caleb you were channeling? Is this me? Who are you talking about?
You want to say, but you don't.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh no, that's the right Caleb.
Oh, is it? It might be. I don't know.
But It's really close. Yeah. It's really neat seeing as we're getting close to that 1,000 and sharing that vision with our people and them getting excited about that. And then working on the next step of assimilation and how we're going to handle our visitors and building those teams. So we're laying this, what we think is a good foundation for when we finally open our doors back up completely. People can walk back through and, like how we're going to have hosts and greeters and how we're going to follow up with personal text message checks in church and handwritten thank you cards, and just the people getting that vision like, oh man, we're going good, because the research says 1 out of 5 churches is going to be shut down by the end of COVID right now. And everything in our community, in our church says like, we're not shutting down. We're like bursting at the seams, ready to grow. And that's just really neat. So I don't mean to steal this.
Dude, that's crazy. I have not heard that stat. 1 out of 5 churches will be shut down by the end of COVID.
Yeah, hey Chris, that's a Barna stat from kind of early in the COVID timeline. Oh, the other thing, there's a new stat out that Barna did that 22% of participating Christians pre-COVID are not participating in person or online at this time. Wow. And so, it's pretty big. So just to piggyback off of Josh there, we had 2 guests Sunday from the ad and a couple more, but 2 from the ad. So they're, just plugging away. We switched. We kept it on for prayer most of the holidays and some of the Discover Your Purpose. And then now, right before Sunday, I switched it to like $5 on prayer and $25 on the Discover Purpose, and we'll run that this month. So
awesome.
So we're just plugging away. I'm with Josh. I think if COVID wasn't out there, we'd actually see more in person, but we've got our website set up to do in person and online plan your visits. So as soon as somebody says they don't want to come, we just link them up with the online, and we're still working all our systems there, but it's, they're coming. There's people. We're in 21 days of prayer and fasting. So Monday night, we had almost as many people watching the live stream as we do on a normal Sunday morning. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Love it. Love it. All right.
Chris, I followed your advice this last week. We actually, I tried to call as many people as I could, our church members.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. It took like all week. I only got through 47 individuals / family members and things like that. But it was really encouraging as a pastor to know how many people kind of did feel forgotten, who haven't come back, who didn't know if they were like, I didn't come back right away and I'm not sure if I should come back, are you angry at me? And it kind of just gave them that out and helped encourage them. But it was really encouraging to me. And it was encouraging to give that report back to our active attenders that there's people on the outskirts that just aren't ready to come back in. Yeah. And if you haven't done it, listen to Father Abbott and do what you're supposed to and call your people.
I love it. Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing that, Josh. That's huge, man. We've talked about it here in coaching calls before, but man, there's nothing more powerful than literally just calling through your entire roster, right? Calling through the roles and talking to everybody, right? And I know when I say that, I know what a big ask that is, right? But I mean, just like Josh is saying, like, man, when you get a hold of those people, what's that say? I couldn't see it, Josh.
Well, I called every single one of them and I asked if they had anything they wanted me to pray with them about or pray for, add them to the prayer list to open the conversation. And this is just all the people, you're calling, talking, writing notes, and then the Facebook messages and text messages and everything else. And it meant a lot to them, just a lot. And it actually helped like my college and career kids, the families that, they were 17, 16, and now they're 18, help them to establish them as adults and realize that I'm not your parents' pastor, I'm your pastor. Because a lot of times that's their parents' church. I'm trying to bridge that. We're your church, not just your parents' church. So it was neat. It was just the list of all the people in the prayer request. Man,
I love it, bro. I love that. And it's funny, right? Like it's easy for us to forget or to think that everyone knows that we're thinking about them, that we're praying for them, that kind of stuff, right? And then, but man, just the power of a phone call. I did this with just a couple of friends. I was just like, during my prayer time, I'd be praying for different people, and there were certain people that the Lord would put on my heart. And so I just pick up my phone. There was a couple of times, there's a couple of you guys, right, who the Lord put on Caleb and I's heart. And so we just pick up the phone and call you guys, because it was like, man, just one, when the Lord puts someone on your heart, right, it's usually not for a reason. Like if I start randomly thinking about someone I haven't thought about in a long time, I'm like, man, right? Like I'm sensitive to the Holy Spirit here. It's like, man, there's probably a reason. A lot of times guys are like, man, I'm so glad you called. I've been wrestling with this or doing this or, something like that. But when you just like strategically call through every single person in your church just to connect with them, they just hear your voice going like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize like, pastor was thinking about me or even remember who I was or any of that kind of stuff, man. It's super powerful. So, all right. Thanks for sharing that, Josh. Let's do this, man. Let's dive in. Unless we have any more testimonials, feel free to sprinkle those in here, y'all. But man, let's dive in. Do we have let's do some Q&A. Do we have any questions specifically about either about how to run Facebook ministry ads moving forward in the new year, about the prayer campaign, discover your purpose, or anything that you're wrestling with right now?
If you don't mind, Ebo, I'm gonna, because Rob Wallace isn't here. We did have a testimony from him that I thought I'd share. It was, and he shared with it. I think we had like 2 or 3 people on, but this is the largest gathering since. He had there was somebody who was suicidal, who sent in a prayer request right before Christmas, and he jumped into it, invited him to the church. They showed up, prayed, and essentially saved his life. So just another testimony as we've talked about. I know I put a big emphasis on just depression during the holidays. I actually lost a third cousin to suicide over the holidays. And so what you guys are doing is super important, and just want to give kudos and a shout out to Rob for doing everything he could to get that person to the church, pray with them. And, there's a son now who's still alive, some parents who still have their son. And yeah, so.
That's great. Hey guys, I got a quick question. That's awesome. We're, in February, we'll be doing the 21-day marriage challenge. We'll be running that ad set. Is there anything we need to do from a video or a PDF? Oh, there is a PDF there. I just want to have some time to look at it before we get into it. So I see it here. I'm looking at the Manychat. So
and when you pull that up, just know that was built by a professional counselor, a marriage and family counselor, who built that. and he was top of his class, top in Oklahoma, I think. Is that right, Caleb? I'm talking about Caleb. He has his master's in marriage and family counseling, and he's like probably the smartest guy on here right now. And like he was like number one in like the entire state or something, and like crushed everything when he like went through all that stuff, whatever. And then has like years of counseling background that a lot of you guys don't even know about. So
thanks, Ebo. That's something I share with a whole bunch of people.
My way through that, we had him create that 21-day marriage challenge. So just so you know, it's not just thrown together. Like he actually has like so much like psychology and like reasons behind every single day and why he put it in the order that he did and all that kind of stuff. So it's legit.
It started out as a 17-page document, but I scaled it back. So
yeah, to which we're like, awesome, that's perfect. I would say maybe scale it down to 1 and then we should be good to go. So anyway, but that 21-day marriage thing. So Josh, is that the timeline that you were talking about? Like meaning like as far as how to run which ads, like which month, that kind of stuff? Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. So put that in the chat. So here's what we recommend, at least for the next couple of months, is we recommend running Discover Your Purpose this month, right? A lot of people creating goals and kind of clean slate, the natural momentum that comes with the first of the year. So Discover Your Purpose is the perfect thing to run, and you can run a lot of guys have been running the prayer ads and Discover Your Purpose, like Pastor Doug was just talking about, right? He's keeping $5 on prayer, so that's still going, and then putting $25 a day towards Discover Your Purpose, right? So you can split it half and half. You can divide it up differently that way, but man, a lot of guys who have been leaving the prayer ads on and then also doing Discover Your Purpose, that's been working really well. But running Discover Your Purpose for January, and then in February, switching over to the 21-day marriage challenge and running marriage all during the month of February. And then in March, we recommend is actually switching back over to prayer, right? And then just kind of getting as many people into that prayer funnel as possible, leading all the way up to Easter. Right. And then after Easter, switching over to the parenting campaign, right? Because then we're coming into Mother's Day, right? So over the next few months, it's basically like you're running Discover Your Purpose this month, and then switching over to the 21-day marriage challenge in February, back to prayer in March and April leading up to Easter, and then switching over to parenting leading up to Mother's Day. So if some of you guys are just running the prayer campaign and you have questions about some of those other campaigns, feel free to reach out, and we're more than happy to kind of go over those with you and stuff like that, especially if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about right now. But yeah, so that's kind of the timeline: Discover Your Purpose, marriage, back to prayer, and then to parenting. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions about the prayer ads or anything else? Yeah, Josh, what's up?
So there's one other set of ads, the entrepreneur ads. We don't ever turn those ones on, or I mean, not ever, but I mean, is there a time that you would recommend that other versus others, or?
Yeah, so the entrepreneur ads are similar to the prayer ads, but they're specifically targeting entrepreneurs and local business owners. So it's kind of one of those things you can throw those on anytime. I think over the summer is the perfect time to run both the regular prayer ads and the entrepreneur prayer ads, right? Like I think if you went all in on that for kind of, the summer slump, I think that would be really effective. And I think it'd probably help a lot of people. So just kind of doing exactly what Doug's doing right now, where you're just splitting your budget between the prayer ads and the entrepreneur ads. The other time I think to run entrepreneur ads that's really strong would be for back to school. Right. So you have that natural momentum back to school. Things are, people are kind of falling back into rhythms and they're not going out to on vacation and stuff as much. And so that's also going to be a natural time. And then same thing with the 30-day Bible challenge, right? Like anytime is a good time to do the 30-day Bible challenge. And so there's obviously going to be different seasons. Like the parenting is going to be great for back to school as well, right? Because now all families are going back. You're getting your kids back into routine. You're starting to find soccer practice and PTA meetings and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but yeah, that's kind of that natural ebb and flow of that. And if you're looking to roll that entrepreneur one specifically, I think over the summer would be a perfect time.
Let me ask another question, and that is, we're all getting Facebook's notifications in our business suite about the devastating effects of iOS 14. And I don't know if you addressed that in the last couple of weeks. I wasn't able to be on, but I'm just curious what your sense is. Does that just mean ad prices are going up, or What do you see that's going to be?
So luckily, like for us, for like these types of click to messenger ads, especially with the way we do our targeting, it shouldn't really affect anything at all. Right? It's because a lot of that is basically just saying like the targeting and the way that they track like their pixel and that kind of stuff, right? So if you're creating different types of like conversion campaigns are the ones that are really going to take a hit, because conversion campaign, like if you're trying to get someone to take an action on your website, like specifically for businesses that are trying to like bring in leads, where they're sending people from a Facebook ad to their website and then getting them to fill out like a lead form, like, oh yeah, I'd love a custom quote on like a new roof or something like that, right? The way that they do that is you have to put Facebook's pixel on your website, and then you say, hey, once they fill out this form, then it goes to this page, fire the pixel to let Facebook know, hey, someone filled out the form. A lot of that targeting is going to go away, and some of that Facebook pixel where Apple is with iOS 14 or whatever it is, isn't going to let Facebook's pixel and some of these other tracking like data be sent. And so it's gonna affect some of that kind of stuff. But since we're not doing that, like we're just sending everybody straight from Facebook into Facebook Messenger, and we're keeping the targeting wide open on purpose and letting Facebook's algorithm do the work, it really shouldn't affect anything that we're doing. Hope that wasn't too in-depth in explanation or whatever. I don't want to get all nerdy on you guys, but yes, the bottom line is with our type of ads, it shouldn't affect anything. So let's see, got some questions here in the chat. Oh, that's awesome. Jay Jones said November is National Entrepreneur Month. Could be a good time for that. So yeah, I love that idea, Jay. I had no idea. I'm an entrepreneur myself and had no idea that November was National Entrepreneur Month. So yeah, that's a great idea. And that's kind of cool too, because it's leading up into Thanksgiving and the holidays. So praying for people, kind of like what Caleb was just talking about here a few minutes ago, praying people into the holidays, and that kind of stuff is great. So you can even run prayer and entrepreneurs at the same time. And I think that'd be great. So let's see. All right, Pastor Tucker wanted to know, are people still using Manychat for the ads? Got flagged. So yes, Pastor Tucker, still using Manychat for the ads. People are getting flagged. The biggest thing to do is just to make sure, like we had that video talking about how to tag your flows, right? So that was a change that Manychat and Facebook made. Caleb, do you have that video handy? If not, I can try to find it. But we have a video that kind of walks you through how to retag those if you haven't done that as well. As long as you're doing that and you're not sending out broadcasts, then you should be fine, right? Basically, and we've talked about this here the last couple of weeks, but instead of sending out like a free broadcast to everyone, now Facebook's saying, hey, you can't reach anyone outside of the 24-hour window, meaning you can't send a broadcast for free to anyone that you've talked to outside of the last 24 hours, but you can send them a sponsored message, which is basically the same thing. You're just paying Facebook a little bit to do it. It's kind of like this. This is I haven't read this anywhere. I can't back this up. It's just my own personal thought. Back in like 2012, and then especially again in 2014, right, where the organic reach on Facebook, it used to be you went out there, and if you had a Facebook page, you posted and every single person saw it. So if you had 1,000 people who liked your page, 1,000 people saw it. Eventually, that organic reach, right, came down. It's like 50%, 30%, right? I think in like 2014, maybe all of a sudden people found out it was only like 16% of the people that they were posting would see it. Now it's less than 3%, right? So if you have 1,000 people who like your page and you post, hey, don't forget about baptisms and baby dedications this Sunday. Out of those 1,000 people who like your page, only about 30 will actually see it, right? Facebook's basically said, hey, you have to pay to play. If you want to continue to post and use our platform to reach people, you can, but you have to pay. That's why boosting posts became such a big thing. I think that's basically the exact same thing that's happening in Messenger right now, right? Where for the last year or two, whatever it's been here, you've been able to just send out a broadcast to everybody on your Messenger list for free and reach everybody, right? And I think Facebook's just saying now, hey, that's still cool. You can still do that, but you got to pay to play. Right. And I mean, it's pennies on the dollar for what you pay. I mean, Doug, didn't you say you did like a sponsored message here a couple of weeks ago? And didn't you say it was like $10 and you reached like 700 people or something like that?
Yeah, I did one again before this past Sunday. Let me go to my broadcast paid messages. Yeah, so the January series, I had 610 impressions and it cost me $12.42.
Yeah.
So, and I sent it to, I think you can only send it to those that subscribed in the last year. And so, you know, we have about 1,200 on our list, but probably 1,000 of those are the last 6 months. So
love it.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. And that's basically, so, and thanks for sharing those numbers, Doug. I think, yeah, I kind of think that's what's happening, right? Is Facebook's just saying like, hey, you can still do that, right? But you got to pay to play. And so they're just going to charge you a little bit of money in order to send out to everybody on your messenger list, which personally, I think that's an even better investment or for your ad spend than even a boosted post, right? Because you might have a lot of people that like your page, but now don't live anywhere close anymore, or they go to another church, or they don't go to church at all, or they don't even remember liking your page, right? And so you're not wasting your money boosting a post to them, but it's not a phenomenal investment. Whereas everybody on your messenger list is someone who specifically responded to your ad and sent a prayer request and then connected with you inside a messenger. So there's already some relationship equity there when you're, you know, blasting out a sponsored message and either inviting them to church or asking them how they're doing.
So that's worked well for us. I agree on that. The one thing I did differently this time, the first time I set it out, for some reason it said first name instead of actually putting their name, even though all I did was click on the first name field, if you will, to add it to the message. And so this time I just made it generic and I didn't put their names in, but and we don't have to talk about it now, but I would like to know how to not have that just show up wrong. Or was it just my version that showed? No, I saw it in people's threads when they responded. And that's the other thing, guys, the paid broadcast, you're going to get some responses, and it's a great opportunity to reconnect with people. And they may be at a different place in their life when you broadcast than they were the first time they actually responded. So I thought it was a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I think specifically, Doug, I think if some of the names are wrong, I think it's because I remember like when you first started, like either you or someone, maybe I think someone on your team had done like some custom stuff on the back end, and we were trying to figure it out. I think that was one of the things where it was pulling in like the wrong name for a while, which was probably why. So probably some of those accounts just had the wrong name. At least that's my guess off the.
Yeah, it wasn't even a name that was in there. It just said first name, like the field when you push it. So I'm thinking that was maybe a Manychat issue, but
okay.
You know, or an operator error. That's 98% chance there. So.
Yeah. I mean, it could be either way. Every time we've done it before, or I've set it up for people, like, and I've used that first name tag. It's always worked. And again, I like it just because of the personal touch, right? Like just like, hey friend is okay, but like hey Chris, I'm always like, oh yeah, what's up, right? Like even when I know they used automation for it, it's still kind of a nice personal touch. So, all right, Pastor Tucker, on your question about discover your purpose. So I'm not sure what you mean by like background material for it, right? But the whole idea behind discover your purpose is that, you know, every single one of the campaigns, we're just using a ministry hook or a ministry offer to bring people in, right? Then we're bringing it to the audio prayer and then to plan your visit, right? So every single one is always that kind of 3-part framework. And so with discover your purpose, it's the same type of thing. We just know there's people out there trying to find their calling, discover their purpose, right? Maslow's hierarchy needs, these are people that already have the bottom 3 levels of their needs met. Now they're looking for something, you know, they want to be part of something bigger than themselves, right? They want to figure out why they're here and kind of what's next. And so that's why discover your purpose works so well. And the reason we did a quiz is just because people love quizzes, right? And it seems like, oh yeah, I can discover my purpose in a quiz, right? They kind of go through, it's just kind of some personality stuff. And then we use that and then kind of redirect them to, hey, you can't figure out your own purpose because you didn't create yourself. You have to go to the creator, right? And that's where we, you know, kind of deliver a video, just you talking about discover your purpose, right? And then kind of the same play as the prayer ads. Then you send an audio prayer, just praying for them and their purpose. And then it's automatically going to lead to plan your visit. But then same type of thing, you send that audio prayer, introduce yourself, pray, and then end it with a question. Come back out to church here as well. So, excuse me. Okay. Man, Aaron Butler, man, you have any thoughts on everything? Obviously, we got a brand new year. We got a lot of stuff going on. Some guys are still kind of new. Some guys have been at this for a while. Man, what are your thoughts, bro?
Man, I just think that this is a year to take ground. This is a year to push. This is a year where we don't back down. We press toward the mark, right, guys? It's the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. You know, and I just, and maybe you've read some of these things, but you know, the prophet Jeremiah, I think it's time to rebuild the wall. I think it's time to ask our people to re-enlist again. I believe it's time for us to start, you know, just taking some territory. And on those conversations, just to piggyback on a couple of things that who was talking about that Joshua talked about when calling different people, ask them some questions, ask people some questions, try to get them in the room. One of the things that we're doing after our 21 days of prayer and fasting, we're doing this, but we're going to do pie nights, which is basically pastor invitation experience. And the whole idea of this is to get people in the room and talk about what the church meant to them, and then ask them where would they be, you know, because of this, and then really, you know, let the room talk about what their experience was, and then lean in and say, hey, let's go all in this year. Let's go make another story together. And really the idea is let's take some ground. How many people that you know that are out there that are scared, that are hurting, that need hope and healing? And so, and really, we need a good ground game here in the next couple of months, is what I believe. We have to have a good ground game. And what you do in these first 2 months is going to set the precedent for how 2021 is going to lay out. And so, yeah, it's going to be a grind, but I would just tell you to keep pushing and keep moving forward to the things that God has for us. Because there's a lot of people, like I said, Barna says the statistics and all those things are true. But you know what that means? That's opportunity. That's opportunity for people who don't have hope. And you and I have the answer. And let me just tell you, the world's way doesn't work. We know this. It doesn't work. That's how I know. We're not worried that you'll come back. You'll be back. Why? Because it doesn't work without God. It don't work without Jesus. We have the answer, which means we need to be there for when they do start taking steps. And I just want to, light a fire under you guys to say, hey, you know, let's push, right? Let's keep going, and let's lay a hold. And I believe that He's going to honor the work. He's going to honor the work that we do. He's going to honor the steps that we're taking. Our steps are ordered of God, and you know, that's just my encouragement for today. And then I have a couple of prayer requests for you guys personally. For me, I'm going to share a couple of things if that's okay. Yeah. Because we've been online only forever. And so this year we're praying for a building, so y'all can help me out by standing with us and stuff like that, because, you know, we were supposed to go back into school this month, and that's not happening probably ever. So, and then there's another church actually that offered for us to meet on a Sunday evening. We're praying about that. So I need some clarity and some wisdom if we're going to say yes to that until we get another facility. So just if you guys would stand with me, I really appreciate that. We're not drawing back, man. We're full go. And I would just say, try to connect with your people as best as you possibly can. And then excite the people that you're getting through these prayer ads that you're talking to, engage them in the vision. Because guess what? They want to be led, right? They want to be led by passion. They want to know, hey, listen, there's a future. There's a future here with this church, and we love you. We are for you. God is for you. We're not going to leave you behind. And, you know, just be that spiritual tour guide to take them on a journey towards knowing Jesus, right? Just tell them, I know you're not where you want to be. Now I'm not where I want to be, but I'm so glad I'm so much further than where I used to be. And we can go on and we can accomplish this together. Just keep casting vision. We're behind you. We're praying for you, man. Just the best really is yet to come. That's all I want to say.
Love it. Love it. That's powerful, man. Thanks, Aaron. And we'll definitely be praying for you, man. I know that's been tough. Aaron's in California, and things are still pretty crazy there. So, all right. So we'll be praying for that. There's a couple more questions I want to make sure to answer here. So Pastor Dewan said needs a review on how to do the plan your visit. So Pastor Dewan, what do you mean on how to like inside of the prayer ads, or how to do like once they show up? What part of plan your visit do you need help with?
So once the person actually says they want to come, then what is the best way to approach them from that point?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, great question. So this is one of the two things that we always talk about, right? Inside of like every ad campaign, you basically need to do two things. Number one, you need to send an audio prayer to every single person who reaches out. And again, that's whether you're running the prayer campaign or Discover Your Purpose or the Marriage Challenge, anything, you're always sending an audio prayer to every single person. And then the second thing you need to do is you're going to call the plan your visit within 15 minutes, right? So whenever a plan your visit comes in, right, you want to try to reach out to them within 15 minutes. You can text instead of call if you want to. We recommend calling, and here's why. If you call them, right, then you have a chance. Most people aren't going to be able to. Most people aren't going to answer the phone on a number they don't know, right? We know that,
Right.
but it's a great touch point because now you get to leave a voicemail, right? So now they hear your voice using their name, right? Just reaching out. Hey, what's up? Man, hey, John, this is Pastor Chris. Hey, I saw that you planned your visit for this Sunday. So listen, I just wanted to reach out to you personally, answer any questions you might have, introduce myself. So man, just give me a shout back. Right. So now it's an extra text touch point, excuse me. And then just fire up a text message that says the exact same thing. And now you put the ball in their court and they'll respond to you with the type of communication they prefer. So if they like talking on the phone, they'll call you back. If they prefer texting, they'll text you back. Right. So now you know the best way to communicate with them in the future.
So maybe I'm still not clear on it then. So maybe the person isn't doing the plan to visit. Maybe they're just saying in the prayer app that they want to visit because I don't have a contact phone number to call them at.
Okay, yeah. So if they go through and they actually plan their visit, like let me pull up an account here. So like inside of Manychat, whenever they plan a visit, right? They you already have like their name, but then it fills out their email and phone number.
Yeah, so I think that's the step that's not happening. There, you know how the prayer app will actually ask them if they want to be prayed for in person,
right?
And then they will respond back and say, "Yes, I do." They say that they're willing to come out, but they're not clicking on the plan your visit and filling in their email and phone number.
Okay, yeah, and not everybody will. Some people will say yes. Some people will fill out plan your visit, right? Some people won't even respond, but then they'll show up. So I mean, that's going to happen. You're going to have a mix of all those.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's going to happen a lot. And here's what you can do: you can go into your Manychat account, right? Like here's and when you go in here and you actually look and you find like plan your visit right here, right? So you can actually and you get here by going to manychat.com and then you'll click on audience, right?
Gotcha.
So once you click on audience, but you can click on plan your visit, and then these are all the people that have had a planned a visit and actually did go through and submit their name, email, and phone number, right? So they got tagged.
Gotcha.
So that way you can reach out to them and kind of check. So, but yeah, and just so you know, like plan your visit's kind of like the icing on top, right? Like it's not always people aren't always going to plan your visit. In fact, we had a church, they were running about 60 people when they first started with the prayer ads. In 3 months, they went from 60 to 110 using the prayer ads, and they only had like 10 plan your visits that whole time, right? So,
wow.
So if you just look at the numbers, you'd be like, man, 10 plan your visits in 3 months. Shoot, like we've invested a lot into this, right? But if you're just looking at plan your visits, right? But you'd be bummed. But then you look at their thing, and they're like, man, they almost doubled their church inside of 3 months after being stuck at 60 for years. Right. And it's just because the whole idea, right, is connecting with people. It's that relationship equity. It's doing ministry. Right. And some of those people are going to plan a visit. Some of them are just going to show up. Some of them are going to say they'll show up, and then they're going to wait a couple of months. And then one Sunday they're going to pop in randomly. Right. Like it's just, but there happens. And anyone that's been doing this for a while now can tell you eventually there comes like this tipping point where all of a sudden you kind of start walking in the seeds or walking in the harvest of the seeds you've been planting. Right.
Sure.
So, like it just starts happening. I remember, if I remember right, I think it was Aaron told me this one time. But this was like a while ago, Aaron. But I remember right at some point somebody was like, "Hey, I had a lady that showed up on Sunday and brought like 6 teenagers with her and was like, hey, you prayed for me on Facebook like 4 months ago. I told you I was going to come, and I'm here." Right. And it was like, months later. Right. So it's like you're going to get those types of people. So don't worry about plan your visits. Don't worry about butts and seats. Don't worry about visitors. Just focus on prayer requests. Right. And your only goal should be getting to 1,000 prayer requests. Because by the time you get to 1,000 prayer requests, you'll look and you'll have had about 100 families that have planned to visit your church, and you won't even recognize your church anymore.
Gotcha.
If you just focus on getting to 1,000 prayer requests.
Gotcha.
Hey, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, Doug?
Something else that may help, Pastor, there is I jump in those bots, and number and tell them the why, that we're going to send them information to make their experience better. And so they do that. And then since we use text in church, most of the time I'll actually ask them that, and I just go do the plan your visit off our website, whether it's in person or online, and then our text in church workflows can take over. And it seems to work. It seems to work really well. The other thing, guys, if you're using text in church, I've just seen my engagement go up on that big time over the last month or two, with people that we've just been in communication with, and all of a sudden they'll reach out and say, hey, I'm going through this or I'm going through that. And it's some of it's church folks and some of it is ad respondents. So just a thought for you guys.
Love it. Thanks for sharing that, Doug. And that's something, yeah, like I think there's a lot of churches that have been, I think when you use text in church alongside of what we're doing, I think it can be really powerful, right? It's obviously, it's not required, but it just helps with a lot of that follow-up, right? Because just trying to remember to follow up and all that kind of stuff, right? Since with Manychat, you can't talk to them outside of the 24-hour window, to be able to plug them into text in church, where now you've got somebody, text in church is following up with them for you. And that can be a game changer. All right, so I saw a question in here. Jeannie, can you expand on that? You said your bot flow isn't requesting people's phone numbers anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I got some help with that behind the scenes there. So,
okay.
Caleb just let me know that I needed to refresh something. So thank you, but Caleb rocked it.
Perfect. Okay. Is it the magic refresh permissions button?
Yeah, if there were no changes to the flow, then sometimes it's probably just a glitch in Manychat. So if refresh permissions doesn't work, then let us know. We can jump in. Email Heather at Church Growth Agency. We'll look at it.
Yeah, and most of the time we that refresh permissions button, we joke about it all the time, but literally like Manychat calls that the magic button, right? They're like, hey, if you have any problems with like the first thing that you should do is just go into the settings in Manychat and click refresh permissions, and it really does fix 9 out of 10 problems. Like it's pretty awesome. So if anything's being weird, just always try refresh permissions first. Okay, Josh says, is that what you're talking about, Josh, with the refresh permissions? You have that like every 2 weeks? Yeah. And this is just kind of my theory on it. I think it's because Facebook is constantly like making changes to their algorithm and to their platform, right? And all the API, right, which is basically like the permissions that you're talking about, is basically like, here's Manychat and here's Facebook, and the API is just a handshake that connects them, right? And every once in a while, like Facebook makes some changes, and so it just kind of like fractures that handshake, right? So it doesn't work. So you click refresh permissions, just syncs it back up, right? So I think that's all that's happening, and that's why that's why Manychat calls it the magic button, because it's like, yeah, most of the time you just need to reconnect that handshake and you're good to go. So all right, let's see. I know we're past time here, but wanted to make sure that we get everyone's questions answered. Do we have any more questions here before we pray and get out of here? Yeah, Josh, what's up?
Raised my hand earlier. Sorry. Is it violation to copy and paste a message in Manychat to those who planned their visits in the past, or do I need to pay to broadcast a message? Because I can go all the way back to February or March when we first started this and do like all my the categories. What is this? Was it GSI or what's that?
Oh,
called?
yeah. The general Saturday invite.
Right. Could I go through and like just say, hey, I just want to copy and paste all my Saturday invite people or my PR follow-up people, or do I need to pay for the message in order just to contact them, since it's been months since I've heard from them? Yeah.
So if it were me, just to be on the safe side, and because it's so cheap, I'd probably pay just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
Right. Just because, for a while there, like it seemed like a lot of accounts were allowed to get away with a lot of things. And then lately it's been the complete opposite. It feels like they've just been flagging everybody's account, even if you're not in violation. So I would say right now, just because Facebook's kind of strict, I'd pay for it, just to be on the safe side.
And I'm running into an issue. I don't know if this is me contacting Facebook, but every time I try to go to broadcast, it says I need to set up an account with Facebook. And then as soon as I go to set up an account, it already shows. I go to paid messages, create paid messages, says create an ad account on Facebook, and then it takes me to my ad account. And it's like this vicious loop where it's not letting me. Don't shake your head at me, Caleb.
There's no answer. No, Josh, there's no, the problem is you can't, you're going to spend days looking for that. Chris, unless you have another opinion, as soon as I think Facebook is just, it affects people differently sometimes. Like he said, they go fast and break things, and there probably isn't a solution right now. There will be. It'll be random, I think. But Chris, I don't know. I'll let you jump in. I know I've battled this with Facebook over and over again, and the next thing you know, it's like,
I want to send a paid message out. Like, here's my money. You know, I budget $600 a month for advertising and marketing, and it's like I have the money there. Let me send my ad, but it keeps running me on this loop where I can't seem to figure out how to send the paid message.
So I think it was, I think, Doug, you were saying this a couple weeks ago, didn't you? You had a similar problem where it wasn't your Facebook ads account, but wouldn't it not let you create that sponsored message until you finally said, like, you put like the budget at like $100, and then it finally like went through, but then only spent 10 or 12 bucks?
Right. I had to do that again. I actually had to raise it to 150 when I did the second one here before, and I just kept going up $10 until the button turned blue so I could click on it. And you know, if I don't run any more, then we're fine. So
yeah. The bottom line is, I think kind of what Caleb's saying is right. I think right now, again, because it's so new and it's a new feature, I think there's some parts of it that are working and some parts that aren't. And again, that's kind of that's Facebook's motto, right? Like literally, like since they started, their motto is move fast and break things. Right. And as a side note, I think the church can learn a lot from that. But you know, it's that whole idea of ready, fire, aim. Right. So they'll launch things. And that's why it's like, oh yeah, it mostly works. But then sometimes you get stuck in an infinite loop of creating an ad account, or you have to raise your budget to $150 in order to spend 10. Like there's just some weird stuff on there. We even had that for the longest time. It wouldn't let, you know, so like you guys, like whenever you first signed up for the service, you had to make me an admin on your Facebook page and Facebook ads account. We had for about 2 months, it wouldn't let, Facebook wouldn't let people add me to their ad account. Like it was the weirdest thing. So we literally just had to log in as them, build everything out and do it. And then literally like one day, it's like they found that glitch and fixed it. And then ever since then, everything's been fine.
And around that time, I've created an ad account for a church, and then went in there to make, I think, myself an admin, or maybe invite one of them to be an admin. And it said I didn't have permission we needed to add an admin, and there was no other ad. I created it. There's no one else to go to. Like, I made this. What do you mean I don't have permission? Like, you don't have permission. This is mine.
I got the same issue with YouTube right now.
YouTube, I mean, Google, right? Like, cause it's you create all your YouTube stuff inside the Google account stuff, or at least your ads. So yeah, it's just kind of technology, right? So whatever it is, I'm sure they'll fix it. What I would try to do is try to reach out to Manychat Support. Facebook support is really, really hard to get a hold of. But if you could reach out to Manychat Support and just kind of let them know what you're doing, they might be able to take a look at it or see if there's you know, some way that they can fix that glitch for you or something like that.
Hey, Chris, I got a question.
Yeah, what's
up?
up?
Question. That's actually for Doug. Would you repeat what you said earlier? You kind of cut out on my feed. How do you transfer contacts to text in church from the messenger ad?
If you were addressing me,
yes, I was, Doug. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I missed the name. Yeah, it's just a manual thing through our website. You can go to, and I'll put it in there. If you decide to do it, put test in there. But you can see what we do on our website. And I just go in and you got the text to church. It's called a Smart Connect card.
Okay.
And if you subscribe to text to church.
Yeah. So my question is, how do you get permission from the contacts? I guess that's what I'm asking. Or how does that?
Well, I leave them a message through Messenger saying, hey, could I have your email and your mobile number to send you some more information? And so when they give it, that is the permission. And then I can put that over in text in church, and that's the system. They don't have to know what system it is, but they know they were expecting information. Okay. That's what I was wondering. Thanks so much. You bet.
All right, perfect. Do we have any other questions before we wrap this up?
Hey, Chris.
Oh yeah.
You can go first.
I'm sorry. So one quick question about the the range or the radius that we're sending messages. Facebook, of course, as you know, Houston area is a huge area, and I heard somebody else talking about some people being outside of the range or whatever. But I was just wondering, is there a place inside of the Facebook ad to change the range or whatever, or who's seeing it?
So yes, you can. So what we always do is we take a look and see like what driving distance is for your church, and we set it to driving distance. If you change the range, it's basically going to throw Facebook's algorithm into a tailspin. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Probably what's happening is I guarantee if you look at your ad, you probably have a bunch of shares. And so what happens is when somebody on there, they see your ad, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Look at Pastor Dewan, like praying for people. How cool is this? They'll share their ad to their personal profile. So now you're getting a bunch of free reach, but it's also running to everyone that they're friends with, right? So like, and it doesn't show to every single one of their friends, right? But Facebook will show it to a bunch of their friends. And so if somebody clicks on it and they live like across town, or maybe they live a couple hours away, or maybe they live out of state, sometimes they'll live on the other side of the country, right? You're like, sitting there, like, wait a second, like, man, we're in Texas. Why are we getting prayer requests from North Carolina, right? It's not that that Facebook's showing it to the wrong person, and it's not that the targeting is set up incorrectly. It's just that when people start to share it, they share it with their friends, and some of their friends live outside of driving distance, so you start to get them from a lot of people. But it should be few and far between, right? Like you'll get it a couple of times, especially when someone shares it right away, right? That going to a bunch of their friends right away. But
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's typically what's happening. It's not anything with the ad. It's just that your ad is resonating with people so much on an emotional level that they're sharing it on their personal profile. And their friends.
That explains it. That makes sense.
I'll add something real quick to that. Is that sometimes some people who are brought into or ask for prayer, maybe they live from another state, maybe God is bringing them to you. And the reason why I say that is because we have like people in New York and Seattle, and these people watch every week and they give. And I even encourage them to be part of a local body, but they still like watching it. And here's the deal. If God brings them to you, you know what I mean? Maybe it's for you to ship them off to somebody else. I would say definitely just pray for them, and then, ask God on how to lead them in the best possible way moving forward. But don't ever, if God brings people in front of you, I mean, I believe personally, it's our responsibility to pray for people and take care of the people that are in front of us. So just want to throw that out there.
That's good.
Great.
That's good. Awesome, man. All right, David, did you have a question, bro?
Yes. In the last month or so, I had got an email, one of your email correspond or flows to about a Facebook ads vault. And the reason it intrigued me, I just didn't know if, since we're in your program, do we even need that? And with that, one of the things I want to do, me and my wife, we want to start like a walking challenge. And we clearly Facebook ads are a big part of our reach right now, but I don't know if that's just a personal conversation, because I'm not asking someone to write the ad for me, but just to kind of give me some insight as to, because I always hear the hierarchy of needs, you say, like, in how y'all write your ads. I just kind of need that in my mind a little bit as whether I do a video or some text, to try to get people to realize that to connect with the ad a little more.
Okay.
And I didn't know if that's a private conversation, or if that's even something to talk to you about.
Well, yes, I would say so. So yeah, two questions. The first question, as far as the ads vault goes, so as far as how to write the ad, I would say just remind me, and just let's do it next week. On our coaching call next week, we'll just specifically talk about how to write ads. I got a couple of things I can kind of help share, whatever. The targeting, that stuff's pretty simple, the way we like to do it for churches. But writing the ad is kind of where the art comes in. So we can talk about that next week and kind of give you a framework for how to do that. Okay. And then as far as the ads vault goes, the only time I would ever recommend you run the ads in the ads vault alongside of this is just if you have some extra budget, right? Like if money's a little bit tight, you're like, man, we've got $20 a day or $30 a day or whatever it is, spend the money on this. This is gonna do way better than anything else out there. The ads vault is more of an invite strategy, which is just a straight up numbers game, right? So like where this is much more of a it brings all the people to us, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and we're just like, hey, how can I pray for you? And all the people that want prayer come to us, right? The ads vault is more, it's an invite strategy. It's more where we're just kind of blasting out to people and saying, hey, want to come to church, right? And there's some clever ads in there. I mean, we worked really, really hard on it for a number of years, and that strategy still works, but it doesn't work nearly as good as this does. And again, it's just because, right? You can invite people to church and then do ministry, or you can use this where we flipped it. We do ministry first and then invite people to church. And so it just from an impact standpoint, this is always going to be better. But we created that for, churches that aren't able to come in here and hire someone like us to come in and build this whole system out for them. They just want to run some ads themselves. That's kind of why we have the vault. So,
okay, thanks.
Yeah, short answers. I would just go all in on this strategy. All right. So let's see. Zrebrik, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, if you want to stick around, we could chat here just a few minutes. And then
sounds good.
Okay, awesome. And Brian Goff, man, will you pray for us before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Perfect.
So we're just getting started, so glad to be a part of this, and looking forward to learning from all you guys. So let's pray.
Love it.
Heavenly Father, we just want to come before you right now and first of all, just praise you for who you are, the wonder of who you are and what you have done and what you are doing in this world. And just grateful for these other men and women who are seeking to serve you and serving your church and wanting to reach people with hope, with words of hope, with good news that we all so desperately need and so many around us need, Lord. And so I pray for each of these churches, for each of these pastors, Father, that you would bless them, that you would encourage them, that you would strengthen them, that you would renew them in every way, Lord, and just help us to follow where you're leading, to love the people you put in our path, and to share your good news with those who desperately need it. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.